Hello, and welcome to an intro to Anthro with two humans. I'm human number one, John McCray.
And I'm human number two, John Lehr.
And this is the podcast where we reassess what it means to be human. And the title of this episode is The 411 on 1 and 2, or The Lowdown on Sit-Downs. so John, obviously we're talking about what medical professionals and scientists call pooping.
Yes. Yes. And all that entails. And, you know, for those audience members out there who are like, really, what does this have to do? I'm like, what is more human than pooping? I mean, It's so core to everything.
Yeah.
It's the first two things that a zygote develops are a mouth and an anus.
Yeah,
that's our first two things.
We're going way back. We're going way back on this. It's something we all do, and I think, but there's still a lot of anxieties about it.
Yeah.
And,
oh my God, yes.
And especially about pooping in public. I think a lot of people have.
Well, and it's seen as it's just riddled with messages too. I mean, it's the worst.
So before we got to get it out before we begin this conversation, but how about you? How do you feel? What's your gut reaction on it?
I poop great. I don't have any problems. I have so many friends I have one friend in particular I'm thinking about, not you.
Yeah.
Who I swear to God, he talks about pooping all the time, his poops and what's going on with them. I mean, and maybe as I'm getting older, more and more people are. Now I'm thinking of another friend too who talks about pooping. It's like, I don't know. He's got to take Metamucil. He's got this whole thing. I feel for the guy, I really do. But yeah.
How does it come up? Does it come up naturally in conversation, or does he call you up?
He seems to bring it up, It's like what's on his mind. And when he has a good one, I don't know, man. Yeah.
Does he text you about it, or does
No, fortunately, it hasn't come that far. But it feels like I mean, there's a part of me that just wants to say, please, can we talk about? Yeah. Well, I don't want to hear about that.
Right.
But I don't.
How are you about pooping in public, like public bathrooms?
I'm okay. I'm pretty okay. I just got back from touring in Europe, so I was pooping in a lot of strange environments. When I travel, when I fly, I notice that sometimes it takes me a couple of days. I can go. Right. But I was just in Germany, and they have this shelf. I should have taken a picture. They have like a shelf in the toilet. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Because I know you spent time in France, but it's like a shelf down there, and then when you flush, the flushing water flushes it off at the shelf into the drain, which is strange. And my friend Susan says that that's because they want to check it out. The Germans like to see what they're doing. But
were you sitting down or were you squatting at this point?
Just sitting down. It was all regular on that account. Yeah. I was in a train station and had to use the restroom, which was fine because you pay like a euro to get in there, and it's immaculate. I mean, it's just like you can't believe it.
Was there an attendant in there?
No attendant, but everything was just so clean you can't imagine. Right. And I used the toilet. I had to poop, and I flushed the toilet. Yeah. And the seat rotated because there was a little arm on it that cleaned the top of the seat every time it was used.
Wow.
The whole seat went and somehow was cleaned. It's crazy.
Are you the type of person that tries not to sit down on the public toilet seat, or do you sit down on the public toilet?
I mean, look, if it's a disgust, if there's a cowboy hat available, I'll definitely put it down. But if not, I'm not going to try to hover. I'm not that. No,
right.
I'm not that germaphobe. I mean, I recognize that it's, but I'm trying to think of. I mean, if it's something that's just too disgusting, I just won't use it. I'm not gonna.
You know what the irony of it is? It's the people who are afraid of sitting on it, who don't sit on it, and then leave a mess on it. You know what I mean?
True. That is true.
So they've created their worst nightmare.
The snake eats its own tail. Yes, you're absolutely right. That can be extrapolated into a lot of the problems.
Yeah.
The people who are most worried about things. I mean, you look at the people who are most worried about sexual activity are the ones that later get busted. Right. I'm thinking of politicians. Yeah. They're the ones who later get busted for doing the exact things that they're worried about.
Right. How do you feel about, like, if you go over to somebody's house for dinner, where you go into the bathroom, like, if I gotta go in, I gotta poop. Yeah.
Oh God. I mean, no, I don't want to do that. I would do that. I don't even know. I mean, I guess if I had to, I don't know.
How do you think
I
that's
take care of business? I don't get myself in situations like that.
I was going to say, like, I had a guy, we had called some people out to come spray for weeds at our place.
You're kidding. The weed killer went in and
not him. He comes and knocks on the door and he goes, "Is it okay if my son comes in and uses your bathroom?"
Oh my God.
So he had like a son who was about 11 or 12.
And he just, oh boy.
And what do you say if they're working on your house? He's like, "Can my son come in?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, it seems a little odd, but okay."
Yeah, understood.
And I thought he'd be in there for like, a few minutes, like
take a pee.
He was in there for like 20 minutes.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And I hate to be uptight, but I was like, really, dude? This is like,
yeah. You had to do it at my house.
Right.
My son, well, Jesus, I probably can't tell this. But anyway, he called me when he had a situation that arose. And I was so touched by it.
Yeah.
Because, of all, it's the worst position to be in.
Right.
And he called me. Have you ever flooded a toilet? That's the worst nightmare.
Oh, no, at your own house or somebody else's house? Because it's always bad. Yeah. No.
It's at your house. That's it's terrible. But I'm talking about somebody else's. That horrible feeling where the water is just coming up, and you're like, no.
Yeah. I was down at the Blue Bayou Motel in Branson, Missouri one time.
Oh boy.
And there was this really big, just like country guy working behind the counter when I checked in. And I go to the bathroom, like right when he didn't like me already. I could tell he didn't like me. I go to the bathroom right when I get in the room because I was like, okay, I got to go. Immediately clogged there.
I guarantee you're not the first person to clog a toilet at the Blue Bayou Motel outside of Branson. You stay at a lot of crazy. You like a lot. You like yourself an odd motel.
It was. I tell you, but to come back down like within 5 minutes of checking in and be
ask for a plunger.
Do you have a plunger back?
Oh,
he was fuming. He wanted to kill me. He wanted to kill me.
But you know how to use a plumber. You took care of business. I'm sure everything worked out.
But that walk back to your room when you're carrying the plunger is awesome. It's like it was one of those where you have to go outside, to get into your motel room. Yeah. And so everybody's like watching me walk across the parking lot with this plunger.
Oh Jesus! There goes trouble.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then one time, Mary and I were staying at an old hotel in Blois, France.
See what I mean about him in hotels, everybody? You think these are just two examples? They're not.
Yeah. But it was like this old grand hotel from the late 1800s, but it had been on or had fallen on hard times.
Yeah.
And so we were like the only people. It was this enormous hotel.
Oh my God.
And we were like the only people in there. And,
Jesus.
And every once in a while you would hear a door open or close like way off in the distance. It was one of the And we would be the only people eating, and, for breakfast, we'd be the only ones in there.
God, it's like The Shining or something.
Yeah, or like Barton Fink. Remember Barton Fink?
Yeah.
There were like fewer people. And we ran out of toilet paper.
Oh, boy.
And so I was like, well, I'll just go down. The place was run by this husband and wife. And I was like, well, I'll just go down and ask at the front desk if I can get some toilet paper.
Yeah, of course.
And when the elevator door opened, they were all sitting out. The husband and wife and their son were all sitting out in the lobby. Like they used the hotel like their house. So they were all out just
their living room.
Yeah. So they were out there watching TV, reading the paper. And they kind of look up as I come out. And, I say in French, like, do you have any toilet paper? And they were just so shocked by it. And then they were like, well, yeah. Go back to the room and we'll bring you some. So I had to go back to the room and then wait for 30 minutes before they came up. And then there was like a little tap at the door and they gave me like 2 little, tiny bricks of toilet paper up there.
Jesus. So one of them ran down to the store. Jesus. I told you. You shut up. No, you shut up.
It's like we're the only people in there. It's like you can make certain that we have some toilet paper in there.
Maybe they just went through rooms until they found some toilet paper. It took them a while. Not the third floor. We're out on the third floor.
It took them a while to get it back in the pack. So it looked like it was fresh. That was also that same stay in Blois where I had to go get tampons for Mary because she didn't speak French. And so she sent me down. Same thing. I walked in and you know how in Europe they all wear lab coats and they have like a clipboard at the pharmacist. And she came up like, can I help you, sir? I was like, yes, est-ce que vous avez des tampons? she was like, oh my God,
Yeah. Oh, that's sweet.
The other thing, I went through a period where every time I went in to take a poo in public, somebody invariably would come in and try the door. try. It was without fail. It was a period of a few years.
That's good luck. We should have taken you to Vegas.
It was like roulette. And I could be the only person sitting down in a row of, stalls.
But they come to you.
And I'd hear the person come in and come walking down the row and then start
That's good luck. That's reverse good luck. It's not bad luck. It's reverse good luck. We should have taken you to Vegas and then whatever number you pick, we picked the opposite. and we would have won.
During that same period when that would happen, because they jiggle the door and I'd have to be like, I'm in here. Or like somebody's in here. So
Jesus.
I went camping with my brother, David, up in northern Wisconsin. And we weren't staying at a campsite. It's just one of those undeveloped camping areas.
Oh,
and
boy.
We were out in the middle of nowhere. Well, there was one pit toilet, that was about 3/4 of a mile from where we were camping. So I was like, I got to go. I'm going to walk down there. So I walked all the way down to the pit toilet. I sit down and off in the distance, I hear an engine coming. Like, like what? It's like, it's getting louder. And then I hear like, wheels on gravel. Like, it's coming up. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And sure enough, I'm sitting in there in the middle of nowhere. We're the only ones camping there. A truck, I hear it pull up outside. I hear the door slam. Foot's on the gravel. And then like, chunk, trying to get in. And I'm out in the middle of nowhere. And I have to say like, I'm in here. And he's like, oh, okay, sorry. And I hear him go get back in his truck and drive off.
He drove. That shocks me. Why not wait? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people hook up in public bathrooms.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like it's sort of a gay men. A lot of. I have a few friends who are like, really.
Wow. Well, this guy, if that was it, he drove a long way just to come check it out. I mean,
maybe he looked down and saw your ankles and was like, no.
Now I feel bad. Now my feelings are hurt. So anyway, John, I thought today we could talk about pooing, of course. And we've already been talking about pooing, and for a couple of reasons. First of all, in her book, The Porcelain God, A Social History of the Toilet, Julie Horan says that some people believe that civilization began with the first toilet. Not written language. Yeah.
I believe that. Well, what a shelter. I mean, you got to have shelter first. But as soon as you've got shelter, you got to, take care of business.
Right. Well, she says that, waste control allowed people to quit wandering the earth.
Interesting.
That they were able to finally control the situation to where they could stop.
Right.
Trying to get away from their
poop. If you can't do that, then you just hang out for a while and move on.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Once the poo gets so bad.
Yeah.
And secondly, I don't think people realize how important waste disposal and sanitation is to our lives.
Not me. I know it's extremely important. I can't imagine it. I'm constantly thinking about it. I was thinking the other day, I was just saying this to somebody. Can you imagine? Because I was in Berlin, which reminded me of New York City. And I was thinking about New York City. And just imagine the amount of just fingernail clippings, okay? Just fingernail clippings.
Yeah.
Getting those fingernail clippings of all of those New Yorkers off that island every single day.
Oh, Jesus,
and that's just fingernail clippings.
That'd be awful. It'd be awful to see it with like a...
It truly is amazing.
Like a front end loader or something, just with like fingernails.
Yeah.
And then also, it was relatively recent invention that we finally had like indoor plumbing. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that people had no indoor plumbing in some places in the world.
Cowboy days and the outhouse and
And I remember one Christmas, I was spending it with my wife at the time, with her family, and it was Christmas Eve, and a pipe burst.
Oh boy!
And if you think Christmas is already like stressful for people, like when you realize, because we all realize there's no way we're getting a plumber out on Christmas Eve or Christmas, so it was going to be 2 or 3 days without a toilet. And we were on edge. Everybody was on edge.
Yeah. It becomes the focus of attention.
Yeah.
And if a sewage line breaks in a house, once you got poo problems, everything else is less important. There is one thing and one thing only that must be solved.
Yeah, we were opening gifts. You try to be happy when you're opening gifts, and it was like everybody was like, "Oh God!" You could just see it on their face of like, "Please don't make me have to go to the bathroom." Just everybody, just kind of haggard, And then also remember during the pandemic, remember what everybody was hoarding. Everybody was afraid of losing was toilet paper.
Yes. Yes. Did you panic? I didn't panic.
I didn't panic. I don't know. I'll find something out back there.
That's what I felt. I felt like, I maybe I could go entertain for my supplies during a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. But remember in all the apocalyptic movies, like Mad Max and everybody's always like, oh, people will be fighting over water. Mm-hmm. People will be fighting over oil or gas. It was toilet paper.
It's toilet paper. Yes. You get down to it. You ever run out of toilet paper in your house and use something else?
I have before. Not recently.
What did you go with? What was the backup plan?
Oh, well, you always go with like coffee filters.
That's what I was going to say. Coffee filters.
Yeah. It's basically the same thing. I think. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start at the beginning. What happens when we poo?
Mm-hmm.
And on their website, the Cleveland Clinic says the food you eat takes an incredible journey through your body, from the top, your mouth, to the bottom, your anus.
Yeah.
So it kind of, I like how they say an incredible journey. It kind of sounds like
incredible journey. I love that.
It's like Lord of the Rings, you know.
Yeah. Which basically, let's be honest, the third movie was basically from a mouth to an anus. I was so exhausted by that time. And I love that shit. But by the third movie, I'm like, my God. If I have to see them cresting one more mountain.
Yeah, remember it was almost over and they was like, oh yeah, it's going to start again. One more battle.
So many battles. Ugh.
But anyway, along the way, the beneficial parts of your food are absorbed, giving you energy and nutrients.
It really is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
It's so amazing that we just eat this shit and that makes us live. It's so bizarre.
Yeah. And the organs in your gastrointestinal tract are the mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and the anus.
Of course. Puckered starfish.
And the Cleveland Clinic says that the stool is the waste that's left over after your food and liquids have passed through the colon. So that's why it's taken out everything. That's just kind of the product that's left.
Yeah.
And the stool is stored in the sigmoid or S-shaped colon until a, quote, mass movement, unquote, empties it into the rectum once or twice a day.
Once or twice a day?
Yeah.
That's not me.
How often do you go?
Once a day.
Really?
Right on schedule.
Morning or afternoon?
Morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, my schedule's all off because of working overtime and everything.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you've been put through a lot of stress. You also drink a lot of coffee, which I'm sure.
I do.
I mean, I drink a lot of coffee, but you drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking coffee now, but I usually, right up until I go to sleep, I'm swilling coffee.
I can't believe that you can do it till you go to sleep. That's the craziest thing.
Yeah. And then they say it normally takes about 36 hours for stool to get through the colon.
Wow.
So 36 hours at that incredible journey.
A day and a half just to work through the colon.
Right.
Interesting.
And then when the sigmoid colon is full of stool, it empties into the rectum.
Mm-hmm. It sure does.
And the rectum is an 8-inch chamber that connects the colon to the anus.
Yes, and it's the thing that's the thing that pushes it out, right? That's the muscles around the rectum.
Because the rectum's job is to receive stool from the colon and then let you know there is stool to be evacuated or pooped out.
Yeah.
And to hold the stool until evacuation happens. So
that's what I would argue is the centerpiece of civilization, is the ability to hold it.
Yeah.
Because if we weren't the kind of animals that could hold it, forget about it. I don't think we'd be where we are.
I suppose there was a time, but can you imagine now if it just out going shopping or something out at the mall and just people like a dog?
Yeah. Jesus. I mean, just thank God we evolved into that we could hold it.
Yeah. Like you have a little poop bag for yourself. You know what I mean? You
all have diapers. Oh,
yeah.
God.
And the anus is a 2-inch long canal that is made up of the pelvic floor muscles and the 2 anal sphincters, the internal and external.
Oh. Okay. So hemorrhoids is when the internal kind of comes out a little bit, right?
I think so, yeah.
I've never had that issue, thank God. That sounds horrid.
They say the internal sphincter is always tight, except when stool enters the rectum. And this keeps up your continence so that you can control when you go.
Wow.
And then the external sphincter is the one that, when you're ready to go, it's the one that opens up and bids thee farewell,
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah. And as you've mentioned already, our ancestors have been performing this operation every day for the last at least 7 million years, probably even more than that when we were just single cell organisms.
Yeah, because if you can't get rid of the waste, you've got all kinds of problems. And that's, when people become septic or in those issues, it's like, that's death, man.
Yeah, it has bacteria in it.
Yeah.
It has waste products, toxins. Yeah.
Yeah. God.
But the question has always been, what do you do with the waste once it comes out? Because as soon as it comes out, nobody wants to spend time with it.
No.
Even
No.
prehistorically, people wanted to get away from it, and that's why they kept moving.
That's what happened. We've talked about this in Mount Everest.
Yeah.
People who spend all this training and time and everything to get up on top of Mount Everest. And what's up on top of Mount Everest? Empty oxygen tanks, dead people, and poo.
But you did it. You did it, baby.
Yeah. Good. Congratulations. Why did
you got a photograph?
Because it's there. Well, guess what's there?
Yeah. And it's not only you. It's like another 150 people that are all trying to get their photograph on the top of Everest.
And they all poo, and the poo never goes away, ever.
So prehistorically too, there's if you're an archaeologist, and we've discussed it before, there's something called a coprolite, which is like a petrified or desiccated or dried poo.
Yes.
That somebody has left, most likely in a cave. And as an archaeologist, to get that coprolite, there's a lot of information you can tell from it. Like you can tell what they were eating, you can tell their health.
Mm-hmm. But why did he poo in the cave? Don't poo in the cave.
He didn't want to go out. It was too dangerous out there.
That idiot who pooed in the cave, thank God for him. But Jesus, if I was living with them, I'd be like, you had to do it in the cave?
Yeah. Can you go outside?
Go outside.
There's nobody around for miles.
Yeah. I'm trying to draw something on the wall here, and you're pooping in here.
You look over, you're working on your mammoth or something. You look over, and I'm just pooping over there.
Never.
I'm just thinking. I'm thinking about what I'm going to draw. And also, so prehistoric turds can be a gold mine for archaeologists.
Yeah,
and
you got that right.
And for example, Julie Horan notes that excavations in York, England in 1972 discovered a 1,000-year-old turd left by a Viking.
Whoa. But now Vikings, I'm guessing, would a big turd,
I would think so. She says that it was found underneath the present location of Lloyd's Bank, and it became known as the Lloyd's Bank turd, and it was insured for $34,000.
No, Jesus. Wow.
And, probably like we've said before, for millions of years, you would just poop and you just keep moving. You just move away from it.
Yep.
But then about 10,000 years ago, when we, developed agriculture.
Yeah.
And
now we're working on land. We're getting our little homestead all set up.
Right.
Only one problem.
You can't move away from your poop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to stay there to watch the animals, and you have to stay there to watch the food, or watch the plants.
Yeah.
So what most people probably did back then was use a cesspit. You just dig a hole. Just everybody goes and dumps all of their poo in the cesspit.
God. And I've done that camping for just a couple of days, and it's like, Jesus, Well, I can't wait to get home.
Have you ever gone camping without like a pit toilet or anything, where you actually have to dig the hole?
I've done the dig the hole thing, and it's not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. How do you? I don't like squatting. I'm always afraid I'm going to get something on my pants.
I agree. The whole operation is just unpleasant. Whoever invented this toilet seat's a goddamn genius.
Yeah. Do you take all your pants completely off when you go out there?
Yeah, that's what I do. I do the pants off, rotate one leg. So I get one leg free. Then, and then I rotate the pants and the underwear away from the hole. Do my business, and then redress. But it's not easy. You got ivy out there. You got bugs and birds and Jesus, the whole thing.
I agree.
I hate it.
I'm like an animal. Even in the city, I'm like an animal when I go there. I feel vulnerable when I'm going to the. So I always like try to go find the one bathroom in a 5-block area that has nobody in it.
And they always find you.
I was reading too that on a ship they used to put the toilets or the privies up on the front of the ship, because if you think about, the air is blowing into the sails from behind.
But then you got to see the turds float by.
Yeah, but if not, it would all be blowing back. It would be blowing on you. Like if you put the toilet in the back. So they put it on the head of the ship, which became known as the head. And then, but they said still, like if you had a gust of wind come up or something from a wave, it could throw all of that on you while you were using the head.
Boy.
So a lot of people would, on ships, old sailing ships, would strip completely down to go use the bathroom.
Just jump in the ocean and do it?
Well, no, you would be up on the ship, you'd be up on the, off the deck or whatever.
Oh my God. You just bend over. Oh my God.
And Julie Horan notes that by the 3000s BC, cities and villages in Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley had cesspits and sewer systems.
Sewer systems?
Yeah. She notes that a city called Habuba Kabir, a Mesopotamian city in what is now Syria, they were using pipes to carry off wastewater by 3300 BC.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. Pipes. What did they make it of? Clay, I guess, right?
Probably clay. Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus.
And then in the 3rd millennium BC, Sargon I, the ruler
he was
of the
a genius. God, Sargon. But boy, the second, his son, what a loser.
Yeah. Isn't it always the way? Isn't it always the way?
Yeah.
He was the ruler of the Sumerians, and at his palace, he had 6 toilets.
Wow. Inside?
Inside, yeah. And it was just basically a sitting spot over a cesspit.
Right. Oh, God.
Yeah.
So what did they throw down there to keep it for? Oh, my God.
Yeah. So it was an improvement that you didn't have to go outside. They were probably like, wow, Sargon's place. Check it out. It's like a 6-holer in there or something.
That better be a long pallet.
Yeah. The Minoan Palace at Knossos on the island of Crete was built between 1900 and 1500 BC, had 1,400 rooms, and had flush toilets. What? They had like conical terracotta pipes that would channel water from a cistern on the roof, and they'd use that to flush that away.
Amazing.
Yeah.
1800 BC.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And
yet cowboys were still doing it in outhouses in 1800, AD.
I know. Like there's still, like, you go camping or something. There's still like, we went camping up in Colorado one time, and we made the mistake of renting a, you know how they do the Airstreams and you can stay in an Airstream. Yeah. But we were at the end of the season. So they hadn't emptied it all. So it had been months and months and months. And the toilet was black. And I'm like, really?
Oh. Yeah. Don't ever rent those things. Better to bring a tent. It's your tent, your sleeping bag. God knows what happens inside those RVs, those rental RVs.
Yeah.
Unless they advertise on our show, and then I'm pro.
Yeah, you'll definitely get a good review if you advertise with it.
That's right.
And for the ancient Jews, about 3,500 years ago, Deuteronomy 23:12 said...
Deuteronomy. Here we go.
I know this is your favorite. They said, quote, "You shall have a designated area outside the camp to which you shall go. With your utensils, you shall have a trowel. And when you relieve yourself outside, you shall dig a hole with it and then cover up your excrement."
Yes. Now, there's a lot of things in the Old Testament that are meaningless and pointless. And I'm sorry if people disagree with that, but I stand strong.
Yeah.
But that piece from Deuteronomy, Now that's some shit you need to know.
Yeah.
That's
That
some
one's
stuff you...
eternal, timeless.
Yeah.
That's timeless.
Yeah. God's given us some information there.
Yeah. Because they said, because the Lord your God travels along your camp to save you and to hand over your enemies to you. Therefore, your camp must be holy, so that he may not see anything indecent among you and turn away from you. So it's like, go pick up your poop.
Yeah, keep it clean, people. Keep it clean. I like that.
Yeah. And in his book, The Vanishing American Outhouse, Ronald Barlow says that the Sybarite warriors of ancient Italy are credited with inventing the chamber pot. Oh. So just the chamber pot.
Where you do it in your room and then some servant takes it and goes and deals with it.
Yeah, that's what apparently they had. They were known for leading a life of leisure, the Sybarites.
Oh, the Sybarites.
So they couldn't even, like, if they were at a dinner or something, or a feast, they didn't want to get up and leave it. So they would have a chamber pot and then have a slave take away the chamber pot.
Right there at the table? Oh, no.
Yeah.
At least go into the living room or something.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's good to be king, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jesus.
And Horan says that in the 6th century BC, the ancient Etruscans built sewer trenches that drained into the Tiber River. And then what the Romans did is they expanded upon that Etruscan sewer into the Cloaca Maxima, which was the main sewer of ancient Rome.
Wow.
And
that's what the Romans you always hear about, the plumbing and the roads.
Right. And this one might be
sex and the crazy debaucherous sex. Actually, there's lots of things the Romans did.
I was going to say, and like killing a bunch of gladiators, prisoners,
and democracy, republicanism, small.
And then in Pliny, who we've talked about before, I think, who lived from 23 to 79 AD, called the Cloaca Maxima the most noteworthy achievement of Rome.
You know what? I agree with that. That's I mean, you think about that, and back to New York City, or think about the water systems that brings in all the water, and the sewage systems that gets rid of everything. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah. They're still using the Cloaca Maxima. It's still being used by people today.
You're kidding?
No,
That's amazing.
And it was supposed to be 13 feet in diameter, and it contained the statue of Cloacina, the goddess of sewers.
Well, she probably clogged it up. I hope they laid her down, because if they had her standing up there, I don't think that's a good idea. Oh, Jesus. Guess what? There's a clog at the statue.
Just
Who's going in?
Toilet paper, everything. They also the Romans would put just jugs or vases out on the street, and they were called gastra. And so that people, when you were traveling in along Roman roads, if you had to relieve yourself, you could just go in this jug that was out there by the side of the road. And
then what would happen? Some slave would have to come by and collect them all.
Yeah, and what they would do, you'd have to collect it, or they would take the urine, you'd pour it out, or you'd probably go sell it to fullers, F-U-L-L-E-R, which are the people that are responsible for like dyeing clothes or cleaning clothes back then. And so they would use the urine, because your urine is 98% water and 2% urea, calcium, phosphate, sodium, and ammonia. So you could take the urine and turn it into ammonia.
Oh my God.
And then
that's too much.
Yeah.
God. So then they would clean clothes with the urine. Pee.
Yeah. And I think it was the Emperor Vespasian, who lived from like 9 to 79 AD, he actually taxed the urine that was being sold to the fullers, and brought in a bunch of money for the Roman Empire that way.
Wow. You tax it going in, you tax it going out. That's brilliant. Amazing. What a genius.
And Jody Magnus, in an article called "What's the Poop on Ancient Toilets and Toilet Habits," She says that Roman public toilets were a place to socialize while defecating.
Really?
Yeah. How are you? Would you go in? Like, did you ever go in with another person to
No,
take a
I
poop?
want to be alone. I don't want, but ever since I've had kids, that all went away.
Really?
And
Yeah.
I thought it was just when they were little, but still, they don't give a shit about me. They're just like, Dad, what's my password on the Instagram? And I'm like, I'm pooing.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
Not a moment's rest. They like open the door, like, hey, what is it?
Yeah. Or they'll pound on it. They'll just interrupt me. It's just like, Jesus Christ.
I used to work on in a building on Michigan Avenue in Chicago, and I remember that I won't say who they worked for, but it was a famous company, national or organization. Were on the same floor as us, and there were 3 stalls on our floor, and those guys they'd go in together, all to take a poop. Yeah,
There's
and they'd be
something wrong with that. That's just wrong. That's so weird.
They'd be in there like just talking and passing the newspaper. Hey, give me the,
that's so weird. That's just, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But that's what the Romans would do. If you had a public restroom in Rome, it was all, people would just go in there and all sit down and,
the Romans did everything together. I mean, they never did anything. Like they ate together. They went to the bath together. They take baths together.
Yeah.
Very strange.
In the book Archaeology of Sanitation in Roman Italy, Anna Olga Kolaski-Ostro notes that the Romans preferred to sit down for both number 1 and number 2.
I agree with that. What do you what's the hurry?
Really?
What's the hurry? If you got it, then you don't splash. You don't. I just think I think that if you got time, sit down. Even when you're peeing.
Yeah.
Why not?
Definitely cleaner. I think it's cleaner.
Cleaner. You can relax. Why? I don't understand. Yeah. Why are we all standing? Where we got to go so fast? What's the rush?
Take a load off. Take a load off.
Sit down. Sit down.
Do you check your phone? Do you check your phone in there?
Of course. Everybody does.
Do?
Which is why you never want to touch anybody's phone ever.
I have never done that. Now, magazines, I like having a magazine, but I've never done my...
I will not use the restroom without my phone.
Really?
I don't do anything without my phone. I don't know what's happened to us.
Have you ever called me when you're in the bathroom?
No, I don't really call people because, people figure that out. That's that's like trying to watch a video while you're Zooming in a Zoom meeting. Everybody knows.
So anyway, Anna Olga Kolaski-Ostro, she also says that Roman toilets in the public restrooms had like a keyhole arrangement. So it was like a big hole that you would sit on and then kind of a smaller hole at the front of the toilet.
Okay.
For what you were sitting on.
Yeah, I get that.
And the reason you did that is that Romans would, instead of toilet paper, they would use a sponge on a stick.
What?
To wipe themselves. You would have they would.
And then what do you do with it?
You would stick it back. There would be a channel of water in front of the row of toilets.
Oh.
And then you put it in there, clean it off, use it to wipe yourself.
And then
leave it for the next guy.
Oh, boy. Let me guess. They had a problem with dysentery.
Yeah, there was a problem with it.
No. The Japanese have got it right with the wand and everything.
Yeah.
Have you ever used one of those? Oh,
no, I haven't.
It's a life changer. You'll just be like, "What? Why was I using anything else?"
Yeah.
They figured it out. The perfect way to clean yourself after using the restroom.
What do you just sit there and let it do its thing, kind of like going to a car wash?
Versions, but yes, essentially, there's a button and it comes out. This wand comes out and it shoots nice water at the temperature you desire,
right,
and at the intensity you desire.
Yeah,
and then depending on the model, there's sometimes a blower that comes out and dries you.
I would never leave.
Right.
I'd just stay in there all day.
I worked at a place that had those, and it was just like, what? This is genius.
It was probably like the production of the company went down because all the employees were in there all day getting there. They never wanted to come out.
And it also it had a button to warm the toilet seat too.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
and it was a cushion seat, warm with no toilet paper necessary.
God, that's civilization.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That's the apex. I used to think the microwave was the best thing we've ever invented.
Yeah,
and I think that might be it.
They figured it out.
So Barlow again, it says that the chamber pot was called a lot of things. It was called the thunder mug, the slop jar, the Peggy, the badger, or just the plain jug. Give me the jug.
Well, wait, no, not that one.
Yeah, wow. So you want to make certain which drug they were giving you.
Yeah, I love that. We still do that today. We've got all kinds of names for it.
And then the way you would get rid of most of your waste through the Middle Ages and Renaissance was you would collect it overnight in a chamber pot and then just throw it out the window in the morning.
See, that's why the Dark Ages happened. You know what I mean? That's when you know that society's reversing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
We went from flush toilets 1400 BC to just going in a bowl and throwing it out the window.
Throw it out. Oh, God.
And apparently in Paris, in the Middle Ages and Renaissance, people would yell "Gardez l'eau," which means like "watch out for the water" before they threw it out there.
It's like a golfer thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah,
I mean, then the French, but that made them invent the what do you call it? The
bidet, or what?
Yeah, the bidet.
Oh,
which was
but I mean, but that's to clean yourself afterwards. You're still the Gardez l'eau means I'm going to throw it out the window. Watch out.
That's disgusting.
And they think that people, when they came back from being in Paris and they went back to England, they would say Gardez l'eau, and they think that's where the term "loo" came from.
Loo, interesting.
Yeah, because they were mispronouncing Gardez l'eau for throwing their chamber pots out the window.
God.
And then in the 1600s, people got the idea that they would put the chamber pot underneath a piece of furniture, like a chair. And so you could actually sit down there, and it was called a close stool. And those are often, they say, for kings and royalty and rich people, they also had padded seats.
Yeah. It's interesting how they're coming back to what the Romans were doing with the keyhole.
There was a time, I think, in the 70s when the padded toilet seat was kind of popular.
Yes. It's a little odd, I think, the padded toilet seat. But okay. I don't need it, but I'll take it.
Yeah. The worst thing was one that had gotten old. You know what I mean? You go in there, it just looked, it was discolored, and it didn't look right.
Time to head to the Home Depot.
And then the Palace of Versailles had 274 of those close stools in it.
God.
And but lots of lords and ladies, when they came to court, would bring their own chamber pot.
Really?
I gotta have my old jug. I gotta have my own.
Interesting.
Yeah,
but they'd still use the chair with the hole in it.
Yeah, you would stick it under there.
But they put their own pot underneath it. That's bizarre. That's bizarre.
Louis XIV, the Sun King, supposedly would hold court and attend to business while sitting on the toilet.
No.
Yeah.
God damn it. That's like Churchill taking a bath.
Yeah.
Wasn't he always in the bath?
Is it that's awful?
It's like, get it together.
Yeah.
We don't need
Come
on.
It's like a power move, I think.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm dropping a turd right here.
Yeah.
Let me see your petition or something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And then in castles, Horan says that there were little rooms that were built off, and you'll see them in like medieval castles, little rooms that were built off the side of the castle wall. And in that is where the privy was. So that people would go in there off the edge of the off the edge of the castle,
and it would just drop down
into the moat.
Oh, well, that makes sense. You want to make it disgusting to get, Oh,
right.
God. Oh my God, that's.
But can you imagine gross. The smell? The smell of the moats, they said, was awful.
Awful.
Yeah. Then in the 1500s, a guy named Sir John Harrington, he was a godson of Queen Elizabeth I. He created the first toilet with working parts called the Ajax.
The Ajax?
Ajax, Ajax.
Huh. You see that name used a lot.
I think, isn't it Greek for like number one or something like that?
Okay. Yeah. But it was number two. It was taking care of number two. Makes no sense.
Well, they think he called it the Ajax, which was a play on the term at that time. A slang term for going to the bathroom was called the Jakes. Like, I'm going out to the Jakes. And so they think he called it the Ajax as a play on that.
Everybody's creative during the Renaissance period. Yeah. Everybody's an artist.
The Enlightenment. Enlightenment, yeah.
All right.
Leonardo da Vinci had the Last Supper.
Yeah.
Sir John Harrington had the Ajax.
Which, if I had to pick one.
Yeah. Which one has truly made our lives better?
Yeah. You run out of toilet paper long enough and you're going to use somebody's painting.
In 1775, Alexander Cummings, who was a watchmaker in London, he received the first patent for a water closet.
Oh.
So now, about 1775, we're getting into what we would recognize as a modern toilet, I guess.
God. Yeah, I was just in Europe. Water closet.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the water closet. That's okay. That's a good name. Bathroom is kind of weird because, we're not taking baths.
Yeah.
If I've got to go to the bathroom, you're not going to take a bath.
Right. You don't want people getting mixed up about that while
right.
you're in there.
But a water closet, I don't know. I kind of like it.
What they call it in Germany and Vienna, Wasserklo. They call it the Wasserklo.
Oh, they do? So, I don't know. Yeah. Everybody speaks English.
Really?
Oh, man. Yeah. Everybody.
In 1778, a guy named Joseph Brahma designed a hinge flap that allowed the contents of the bowl to empty and then seal afterwards.
Just a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because the smell was so bad. If it was open, no matter how nice your house was, if you didn't have that flap on there.
Yeah. That's a genius right there.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute. We could just put a thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why are we sitting around smelling this all the time?
We got the technology. It's just like a gate on its side.
And they said that thanks to Brahma, Horan says, we have the swirling action of water in the bowl, which helps clean out the contents. And that was due to the improved flap system. So by doing that, then the water swirls around and it's supposed to clean out the bowl for you.
Yeah, a little bit. Although,
yeah. Depends on the user, I guess.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And then Horan says we now get to the three musketeers of plumbing.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
George Jennings, Thomas Crapper, and Thomas Twyford.
Oh, boy. Wow.
Each of them tinkered with what Brahma had created with that flap. And it brought us up to where we are today. So George Jennings designed a siphonic washdown closet that increased the pressure of the water entering the toilet bowl.
Okay. So the tank on the back, right? Or is that...
Right. He created where it would go in there. It was more pressure.
Yeah. Using gravity.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
And the rush of the water emptied and cleaned the bowl better.
Yeah. I agree. Thank God.
So, and then Thomas Crapper, who actually was a guy named Thomas Crapper,
amazing,
designed a pull chain that worked in conjunction with a valveless cistern that decreased the noise and preserved water.
Interesting. So yeah, because it would just let enough to do it, and then come and reset so that it could recharge.
Right, and it would be
that's
quiet.
Genius.
Yeah, they said before that, like you had indoor plumbing with toilets and flush toilet, but they said that with like the Brahma and everything, everybody in the neighborhood knew when you had just gone to the bathroom because it was so loud.
Wow. Interesting.
And then Thomas Twyford, he removed the wooden chair on the toilets and covered it all within a metal work. All the working parts were covered in a water closet, which we've mentioned before.
Yeah.
And then he put everything into porcelain.
Yeah.
So he's the guy who put it all into porcelain.
Which
and then
is a genius move because it's slippery.
Yeah. Yeah. Easier to clean, slippier, slippier. And the bulls, he designed them like works of art, like lions, dolphins, and flower motifs.
Okay. I wouldn't mind having a lion.
Yeah. Yeah. And then apparently American troops that were stationed in Britain during World War I, when they came home, when they went to England, they would see that name Thomas Crapper Company on the tanks above the pole chain or above the pole toilets. And so that's where they brought back the term, I'm going to the crapper, where I got to go take a crap.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe that's true. I had heard that growing up. Somehow I'd heard that it came from that. Some guy invented the toilet named Crapper. I don't know, middle school. I don't know when I first heard that. But that's so amazing that it's true.
He didn't really invent it, but he improved upon it. So, I mean, it is partially true on that.
It's amazing.
So then, just to kind of get to what did we use for toilet paper,
that's another team working on that.
I know.
The brain power.
So in the 1300s, the Chinese were producing a paper called Xiao Qi, which could be used for wiping. But usually, we talked about the Romans would use
the sponge,
a sponge on a stick. Some people would use sand. People would use pebbles, for example.
Sand is stupid. I mean, just the idea of sand. Why would I want sand up there?
Yeah,
I want sand as far away from that as possible.
Right. It seems awful.
But I guess if you got, in a pinch, I don't know, you do what you can. I've heard of corn cobs.
That's what they would use. They would use here for like our ancestors would use corn cobs.
Oh,
and apparently you would want to soak them in water to get them soft.
Okay.
And then use them. But you would keep like a bin of corn cobs right next to the.
I had heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
The Sears catalog. People would use before they became like waxy, but you would have like all the old mail order catalogs. People would keep those out in the bathrooms.
Yes.
And then there's that scene in I've started Ulysses several times, and I always get about 500 pages in, and then I get distracted. And
Jesus,
bored
if you can't read it, nobody can.
but there's a scene where Leopold Bloom, the main character in Ulysses, he's sitting out on the toilet and or out on the outhouse out back behind his tenement, and he's reading the newspaper while he's taking while he's taking a crap. And that was people thought that was obscene at the time, that like in that book that he was so open about talking about people using the bathroom.
Yeah. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
And then in 1857, a guy named Joseph Gaetti was the first person to market a product called paper for the water closet. And then a guy named Seth Wheeler in the 1800s or 1880s was the first guy to experiment with toilet paper on a roll.
Way to go, Seth. Way to go.
Yeah, and then
What it must be like to invent something basic like that just stands the test of time. I mean, it's just so interesting.
We're still using it.
It's like the paper
cardboard
clip
tube.
or just those inventions that are just, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Done and and solved.
And then the Scott Paper Company in 1874, they were the first ones to like really start marketing like toilet paper. Like Scott. They would just take big reams of paper and cut it down for
I approve toilet paper. Scott. I'll it's like it. Yeah, I'm with it. I mean, I don't know what kind of toilet paper you prefer, but I don't want something too pillowy or soft. That's
really.
Well, you could get into clog problems. It just seems like an overdue. I don't want something that's not absorbent at all. So I want to find that Goldilocks. And I feel like Scott it does that because you also want rolls that have a lot last a while. You don't want to be rifling through rolls.
Right.
But still, we should all have the wand.
Have you noticed that they've started making the toilet paper like narrower?
Yes.
Like the roll is narrower.
Yes, it is. That is absolutely true. I'm sure it's for shipping somehow.
I don't know. I'm sure they're saving money on it somehow.
Somehow.
The corporation.
Yep. You know
what?
Like,
give me a break.
Shave an eighth of an inch off that thing over a 10-year period will net $200 million.
Yeah.
Done.
And so, John, just one last thing I want to talk about was the rise of public restrooms in the 19th and 20th, like late 19th and the early 20th centuries. And before that time, before public restrooms came into play, most people would just pee out in the streets.
Yeah. Well, they still do in LA.
There was a guy in Scotland I read about who he would walk around with a jug. And then he had a big cape. I mean, this was back in the 1800s. And you could pay him if you had to go. And then he would use the cape to kind of shield you. And you would go in his jug.
Wow. Wow. That's enterprising.
Yeah. But then Peter Baldwin, in his article called Restrooms in American Cities, 1869 to 1932, says that there was a progressive movement in the early 1900s to build public urinals, comfort stations, and they were meant to be an alternative to people going into saloons. So before all the public restrooms, you'd either go out in the street, or if you were working downtown, the only place you could go to, if you were a man, the only place you could go to use the bathroom would be to go into a saloon.
And that's like, back then, if you think it's hard working in a Starbucks and everybody's coming in to use the bathroom, imagine working on a saloon.
Yeah.
Just like the whole town.
Yeah. Wow. And they said that they thought the fact that there weren't public restrooms was one of the reasons why their alcoholism was
so it's like a temperance thing, kind of?
Kind of, yeah.
Wow. So they were like, hey, we're going to build public restrooms so that people won't go into saloon. That'll decrease drinking.
Right. Because they always thought that progressive movement at that time, or the City Beautiful movement, was like the inner person. You take care of the outer person to take care of the inner moral person.
I like
so
that.
if you make them better, create a better environment, then the person inside would be better.
I believe that. And at that time, everybody was just filthy and disgusting. It was like, come on. Let's take it up a notch, everybody.
Yeah. And for women, it was harder because think about what you were wearing, for example.
Can't imagine.
And you would either go to a saloon, but normally, like most middle class or upper class women, would try to go to a hotel to use the bathroom, or they would try to go to a department store. Department stores would have bathrooms for them, and what they say is that I've read an article where they were talking about that some people think that the idea that you limited women's restrooms, because there were much more men's restrooms in downtown areas than women's restrooms, was a way to keep women out of public life at that time.
Interesting. Wow.
So you limit the bathroom and people can't get in there because if you can't go to the bathroom, why would you go down like in the Loop in Chicago or something like that?
Right. You stay at home where you belong. There's a bathroom there.
Right. And we're just going to make it uncomfortable for you.
Yeah.
And then also what people say, this is like when like disabled people now, like if you have inaccessible toilets in certain areas, then you're, essentially excluding people from being able to participate in society by making it impossible for them to go out in public in certain areas.
Right. They have to think about things in a much different way than we do.
Right.
And that makes it doubly hard for them.
Yeah. You have to plan out where you're going. Like, can I actually even use the bathroom?
Right.
So again, when, and I read an article where the authors of it, they describe this as being landscapes of exclusion, meaning you limit the toilets, you're excluding certain people from participating in society. And I just found it interesting with the whole transgender argument that we have about bathrooms right now, where you have to use the bathroom that's, to the sex that you were born with. And it's uncomfortable because whether, it's not about safety, because anybody that thinks that, a sign on the door is going to keep out a sexual predator, But the thing is, if you make it uncomfortable for certain people to be able to use the restroom in safety, or, just to be able to use the restroom, you're essentially taking them out of,
marginalize them even more.
Right. And they can't participate in society in certain areas.
Right. They're not going to go to a sporting event. They're not going to go to a restaurant. They're not going to go shopping.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, in Europe, I was in Berlin, lot of multi-sex bathrooms.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I had a chat with a young woman while we were both washing our hands.
Yeah. That's the way it was when I went to school in France. It was a shared bathroom.
Yeah.
And there was nothing, I mean, you just get used to it. You know what I mean? You just get used to it.
Yeah. I agree.
So,
I saw a bathroom in San Francisco, this was a few years ago, that was a full self-cleaning bathroom. So you would use the bathroom for free, and it was just out in the city, and then you would close the door and it would lock for a second, and you'd hear all this happening, and then the next person would open up. It'd be totally like everything cleaned, like the walls and it was just like this crazy machine.
Yeah, they had those in France when I was going to school in France, and I was really drunk one time, and a friend of mine and I over there were like, we got to find out what's going on in there. So I held myself up on the walls, and it's fascinating. Like the whole floor comes up, and it cleans itself, like the whole bowl and the floor and
everything.
I could have had my legs yanked off by the hydraulics on that thing.
It's incredible. And then I told you about at the top of our show about the toilet seat that just rotated. It had a little arm on it, and it rotated, and the arm must have, sprayed something on it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. All right. How about on a plane? You ever poop on the plane?
No. I mean, unless it's, if it's an emergency, of course, but never. And I don't understand the person who poops on the plane before we even take off. Seriously? And that's, and then all the people who are around it are just looking at each other like, my God.
Yeah, we haven't even left.
Wheels are still down. And we got a guy who couldn't get his act together.
Yeah.
Come on, never. No. Only poops on a plane should be because of an emergency.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should somehow have to prove that.
Doctor's card. You have to have a doctor's card. All right, John. Well, I think we've gone on a journey, an amazing journey.
You've taken us on a wonderful journey.
From the mouth to the anus.
Yes.
It's the Lord of the Rings of the digestive tract.
The alpha to the omega. You have taken, and you know what? I this is probably one of our most core episodes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna asterisk it in some way. Like we should have certain episodes where you just must hear.
Yeah.
And
this is a core learning curriculum.
Yeah, this one, you can't be a human. You can't call yourself an anthropologist and not understand poo.
Yeah.
That's just,
essential.
That's
essential.
The fact. It's the fact. Yeah.
Walking upright, pooing in a jug and throwing it out the window. That's who we are.
Yep. That's exactly who we are. Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Well, this is John Lehr, human number 2, signing off.
And this is human number 1, John McCray. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed this podcast and found it interesting, please tell a friend. And don't forget to check out our Facebook and Instagram pages for additional information about the topics. And remember, if you have a topic you feel humanity should know about, send it in to us.
Yeah,
and we've had some people send in things to us.
Yes, we have. Our listeners they're great source.
Yeah. So we will try to answer those questions for you. But anyway, thanks everybody. Thanks, John.
Thank you. Love ya. I'll see you.
Love you guys. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.